And we will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. So, I hope everyone had a happy 4th. I know I had a really good 4th. What we ended up doing was I woke up at the crack of dawn, went for a walk, 4-mile walk with my girlfriend. Then after that, went and set up a bunch of ARs and basically fired a lot of weapons that you're only allowed to have here in the United States, and fired a boatload of freedom at some metal targets, and it was a lot of fun. Had a bunch of first-time shooters out there. I had friends from Vietnam, had friends from Mexico. Even the guy from Mexico was in the Army and never fired a weapon his entire service in the Mexican Army. So he was super excited about being able to shoot weapons, which is a cool thing that this country that we are not just allowed to do, that we are entitled to do based on the freedoms our country gives us.
100%.
So, he was absolutely thrilled to be shooting weapons for the first time in his life. And again, I was shocked. I was like, I would say foreign militaries. So, I mean, a military that you would think everyone in the military should be a rifleman. It's kind of like the Marine mentality. Every single Marine is a rifleman. Same goes for the Army. Everybody in the Army has to do a rifle qual at least once a year, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You have to do that. So it's cool that we were able to do that for them. So it was very cool to see, very fun to do. So, and it was a great time. It was a really, really great time. I enjoyed my 4th. But then, we went to the lake, grilled a bunch of burgers, hot dogs, and it was a good time there. And then we spent a lot of time in the pool just enjoying time, then shoot off fireworks later in the evening before we got rained out.
Yeah, fireworks got rained out. Like, it started right as it got dark. The clouds started rolling in, and it just started pouring at about, I'd say around like 9:30.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was, not the best. And there were people shooting off fireworks, and I was like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, your fireworks get rained on, it weighs them down. I mean, so we're talking like paper shells, it's like paper mache shells basically, and they get wet, they get heavier, and then they don't shoot as high. And that's what I was watching. I was watching some of my neighbors shoot off, and I was like, they just keep getting lower and lower and lower to the ground. It's because they're getting heavy. They're getting waterlogged. Mm-hmm. So they're lucky the powder even went off. But then, it's like you're sitting there on the ground. It's like, boom, explosion happens right here. So we knew something like this was happening. Why don't you pull up that video I sent you a second ago? So I hope that none of you were this person last night, because I know that there's always some idiot that, just either due to drinking or overconfidence or thinking they know how long a fuse is going to be timed for. Something like this will always happen. And I saw this video and I sent it to Chad, and I just was excited to see him put it together and do it. So go ahead, Chad, whenever you are
right
ready.
Here, yeah,
you might go ahead and get rid of the
lower third.
Yes, please.
There we go. Transition.
But yeah, I know something like this happened to one of y'all out there today, or you saw it happen to somebody.
Hey, ready?
Ready.
There is no escape.
Holding on that firework. Boom, lost your hand. Going to the hospital, man. Craziness. But yeah, something like that happened to somebody, and I know somebody witnessed it too.
100%.
Yeah, I was having to give warnings to young kids. They kept running back with sparklers towards where all the fireworks. I was like, guys, go away. Don't come back towards where all the fireworks are being stored with your sparklers. Shove off.
Anywhere but here.
Anywhere but here.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But yeah, so yeah, it was a shame it got rained out, but it was still a really good 4th. I enjoyed the entire day. I mean, my whole day, I never thought I could be so tired doing stuff that wasn't Army related. But yeah, I mean, I was exhausted at the end of the day. I mean, it was just a day of, shooting, swimming, eating, and then being done. I was just done. I was dog tired. So let's go ahead and we can push on. So there's no major events happening locally. So we're going to push right on into the national news, or what's the big hullabaloo about in the media right now. So y'all saw the debate. Y'all know what's going on. Biden does not look competent. If you are on the right, if you are someone who consumes places like the Daily Wire, the Timcast, any alternative news source that isn't super left-wing, and basically all super left-wing media is CNN, MSNBC, ABC. They all have a left-wing bias in all those media outlets, right? So the only ones that are right are Fox, and Fox is just barely right, you know. And you have the Daily Wire, who's kind of middle of the road right, and then you have Tim Pool, who's very centrist, but, you know, calls it as he sees them. So, but Biden's terrible debate performance has not gone unnoticed by anybody who watches politics, by anybody who's actively consuming it. If you're passively consuming it, it might be a shock to you. And like I said, that's why the vast majority of Democrats are absolutely shocked. What do you mean Biden's sharp as a tack? But he's not. And anybody who's been paying attention knows this. We've been saying it for years. Biden's definitely got, probably if not full onset dementia, he's got the early warning stage or mid warning stages of dementia. So it's been in shambles. I mean, whenever the debate was happening live, there were people doing live polling who they want to be the Democratic president, and Biden was dropping like a bird falling down in the sky in the blizzard, you know. Like,
yep. And if you can see here on this polling odds chart that I have pulled up here, the last poll where he was at the top of the running list was about August 16th. And then after August 16th, which we know his debate happened in June, and then the next one's come up in July. So from August 16th to the next polling data which come in here, according to this particular website, July 3rd, it just shoots down.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Now, all this stuff is important to know, but ultimately irrelevant to the entire narrative of this story. Joe Biden was the democratically elected primary candidate in the Democratic primary. He is the guy.
He's supposed to be the guy.
But guess what? Whether or not this was an intentional move by the Democratic Party to do this so they could legally potentially change candidates without the approval of the American people, without actually having an election for a primary candidate, I don't know. But this is amazing. So what they're going to do is if you are a Democrat, you are not going to choose your candidate. You're going to have a committee of Democrats come together and choose a candidate if they're able to get Biden to not be run for president again. I mean, they might just be hoping that he has complications at the White House and then Kamala just steps into the role. That might be because there was a president that already talked about that. Like somebody like the first female president will not be a president who is actually elected. It'll be she's president and the president will die. And then she will just take over and she'll be the first female president. And that's how it'll work. Maybe that is foreboding. Maybe that's what they're planning on doing. Either way, right now there's talks of removing him from the ticket or having him step down. So you have a bunch of candidates that their primary. Gavin Newsom seems to be at the top of the list. Kamala is not even near the top of the list. It's like they don't even want Kamala there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remember, Kamala was never a popular candidate to begin with. Like, Kamala was the first one to drop out of the Democratic primary when Joe Biden was running against Trump. Whenever they were doing the Democratic primary, she was out. First one gone. She didn't even have a single delegate vote for her, give her a vote. And then Joe was like, well, I need my diversity hire, and she's it because we clashed on stage and that she has some name recognition right now.
Yep.
But now they're so bought into the DEI, the woke, the diversity narrative that if they were to replace or have someone step over Kamala Harris like Gavin Newsom, you're replacing she's really Indian, not really black, right? Like,
yeah, she's more Indian.
She's Caribbean. She's Caribbean.
Her mother is
Caribbean Indian,
and her dad is Indian.
But she's more Indian than black. But either way, irrelevant. Like, I mean, because we as conservatives, we don't care about race or ethnicity. We care about the content of their character, and we care about their qualifications and if they're even any good or likable. But with Kamala, if the Democratic Party, who is bought in on DEI, bought in on diversity, equity, inclusion, bought in on the race hustling nonsense that they have in this country or in their ideology that's baked into the Democratic ideology, that will be a huge loss for them. Like, you can't have the whitest of white men, Gavin Newsom, step over a female of color.
Which the new joke for him is people are saying he looks like Count Chocula.
Count Chocula. I mean, Norman Bates was a good one too. Not Norman Bates. Who was it was Christian Bale played the American Psycho. I can't remember the American Psycho's name.
Oh yeah, I can't remember it off the top of my head either. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but that's who he is. That's who Gavin Newsom is. So, he's the guy that would freak out over business cards, like, oh, business card,
While his whole state is collapsing.
Yeah. Well, oh gosh, and that's another thing we might talk about next week is that insurance rate. If they're not going to have insurance in the state of California unless they allow insurance companies to increase all the rates in California by 50%.
Yep.
I mean, you wonder why your insurance rates are going up here in Oklahoma, which they are. Like I'm seeing 40% increase on homeowners policies left and right. But I mean, inflation. And the amount of natural disasters you've already had in the state with all the tornadoes that have hit, no surprise.
Yeah. But it's mainly inflation at this point because the value of the dollar is less, so you have to pay more.
Yeah.
You have to pay more to get the same value of your dollar.
Yeah. So it's scary stuff. But either way, the Democratic Party is going to have a committee come together and elect a president and leave the American people, the Democratic voters, out of it. Are you excited about that, Democratic voters? Like, I mean, are you cool with that? It's like, oh yeah, we don't. They go, and you can't make the argument. This is just an extenuating circumstance. It's like it's really not. This was either deliberate, and this was deliberate. They kept Joe Biden's mental condition away from you if you were not paying attention. If you were on the right and we were saying all this stuff going, Joe Biden is not, and you were just like, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, it's better than having Trump.
Well, it also goes to show you how deeply in bed the media has actually been with the Democratic Party. I mean, it's ridiculous. They've literally said that there was an article that came out that said that the White House, had a cover-up and didn't let us know. So you mean to tell me that you media people who are supposed to hold the White House accountable, this is all the Democratic Party's left wing, all the people that say CNN, MSNBC, all the major networks besides Fox News, because if you ever talk to anybody that's on the left, say Fox News is the only fake one.
It's the devil, yeah.
They literally were just getting talking points from the White House and just saying, okay, that's correct.
Yeah,
instead of checking it.
You ever wonder why every single media outlet, at least all the left-wing ones like CNN and MSNBC, they're all on the same page. They all say basically the exact same thing. They knew that Biden was deteriorating. They knew this. And they're acting like they didn't. They're acting like it's a surprise. They saw the counter-narrative stuff, and they fought hard against it. This is gaslighting at science. And now they've all come together, and they're acting like this is the first time they've seen it. They're acting like this is a shock. This is not a shock. If you were a good journalist, you would know. But again, this shows to show you how in bed and how, I mean, what's the right word for it? How manipulative they all are. They're all in bed together. They're all talking the same way. They're all doing the same things. Now they are all turning on Joe. Now is the time because now they can weaponize this and go, well, we can completely keep the Democratic voters out of this vote and just appoint our own nominees at this point.
For a party that's all about saying we're about democracy and the people, they sure as heck, when it comes to election in these last two election cycles, have been about keeping, well, not this one. I'd say the 2016 one with Bernie Sanders, about keeping people away from the people they want to vote for.
Yeah.
Or doing behind the door tactics to get people to leave, to leave an election or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Either way, this is unprecedented. And you as a person who votes in the Democratic Party, you don't have a say. You don't get a say. And this might be something they've done to just see if they can get away with it. A lot like the COVID lockdowns. It's just something they're doing to see if they can get away with it and how much they can get away with. You as the voter, you have to decide that, no, that's not cool. I mean, if you want to understand it, we said this before, but Trump is proof that the Democratic process and the Republican Party still works. Because he was the non-establishment candidate. He was the guy that showed up that everyone said, this is a joke. This isn't real. You're not a real candidate. You can't handle it. Yet everyone in the average Joe in the Republican Party and who voted in the Republican primary was like, he's the guy. That's who I want. That's who I want to be in there. Not Jeb Bush. Not Marco Rubio, not Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
I want that guy. And the American people spoke, and democracy won in that particular case. And again, I want to make this clear. We are a constitutional republic, not a democracy. We democratically elect our candidates to represent us, and that was the Republican democracy right there.
That's right.
But like I said, when it's the presidential election, it's a constitutional republic. You elect our leaders, and then they tally votes for us. That's what the electoral Congress is all about.
Yes.
So, with that being said, we democratically elected Trump to be our guy. You know who did not? The Democratic Party. They tried to get Bernie primaried in the Hillary campaign, and you are of the opinion that it was stolen from him.
Not necessarily. I think that in that case that socialism still does not vibe very well with the old school
Blue Dog
Democrats. Like the kids that grew up under the Cuban Missile Crisis and the fall of communism.
Saw the Russians put up the wall in West Berlin.
Exactly. So he could not win. He won over the young dumb voter that didn't live through that and that's the only people he won if you look at the polling data. So he did not win with old dog Democrats.
Yeah, and Hillary had 100% name recognition. Again, and this is why I don't know a big reason why they probably did not primary Biden out and why they don't want to primary Biden out is because he has 100% name recognition through institutions like Hollywood. Pull up that video real quick, Chad.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you guys if you ever watched Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec was one of my favorite shows after college. Like, I watched this show all the time. I watched it. It's good. Like, Ron Swanson's my favorite character. Fantastic show. Chris Pratt's in it. It was before Chris Pratt really took off. But yeah, watch this, and right here we'll show you, like, the main character of the show, Parks and Rec. Like, they asked her, "What's your greatest sexual fantasy?" And she was like, "Joe Biden." So that joke was played out through the entire series, and this was like near the season finale. But she actually gets, so just watch this. And I mean, this goes to show you how in bed Hollywood is with the Democratic establishment.
Yep.
This isn't happening. This isn't real.
No, it's happening.
I just want to say thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
You don't let anything happen to him. Do you understand me? He is precious cargo.
But yeah, I mean, right there.
This isn't happening.
I mean, they had Michelle Obama guest star on the show. Yeah. They had John McCain one time, I think, but
they did, but they literally made fun of him.
He was the butt of the joke.
He comes in to check on her when she's crying in a closet,
and she yells at him.
He yells at him, doesn't even look up at him, and he just walks out. Yeah, so that even goes to show you how they treat,
Republicans. Yeah. All the Democrat people that she met were like heroes and were idolized. McCain was the butt of the joke. I mean, he still got to be in a Hollywood show, and I'm sure he was tickled pink about that, but he was the joke. He was the butt of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sad that is how the left in Hollywood will treat Republicans in the establishment. Like, you are the butt of the joke, and the Democrats are idolized and put up on screen as a hero. Like, Michelle Obama was treated like this greater-than-life figure. Barack Obama was too. Joe Biden, like, I mean, she was obsessed with Joe Biden. It's like, what were his policies? Like, did she ever mention what policies she liked about him? No, she just goes, as a figurehead, he's my guy. And that's why. It's just this gross, disgusting embedness between Hollywood, the Democratic establishment, and the media establishment that they have a foothold on.
Yeah. And ironically, like, the most popular character in that series is the libertarian Ron Swanson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not Leslie Knope, the person who would abuse her power against her constituents on a regular basis. If you watch the show, she is not a good politician. Everyone is like, Leslie Knope is the ultimate politician. Like, no, she regularly abused her authority and power regularly in that show.
Mm-hmm. Very true. It's a fun show, don't get me wrong. And Leslie Knope is a fun character. Like, characters with flaws are what make shows entertaining. But, like I said, if you were objectively looking at it like, oh, yeah, she is abusing her authority, she's not a very rational or sound person, she will, at the end of the show, she'll come to a more sensible decision, but the whole journey is her being irrational and ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the whole premise of the first couple of seasons was her trying to get that park built by,
any means necessary. Yeah. Like, if she had to throw Indian arrowheads and declare it a Indian reservation
Yeah.
area.
And then, like businesses come in like, we would like to put a restaurant in here or whatever, and they're like, she's like, no, would do anything possible to get
Yeah.
get it not put in there.
Yeah. It's a fun show. You should Parks and Rec is definitely worth a watch. But again, when you watch it, watch how the Republican Party is treated in the show versus the Democrats and how they're holier than thou. And we'll end the show with this last little clip right here. And I mean, I think Joe Biden has too much pride. I do not think he will step down. So this right here, I think, is going to be a perfect summary of what we're about to see.
All right, playing it now.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser! Good. What an
Read it.
idiot!
Report. A report says Biden to stay in race. Republicans.
Yep.
And the reaction of Will Ferrell.
Yep. Yeah, that's about all we got for you today. We just want to make you aware of what's going on in the world, let you know what our thoughts and opinions are on it, and let us know what you think. And in the comments, let us know, and you can live chat us during the show. We are always open for criticism. We're always open to hear alternative opinions. So let us know what you think. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. We are signing off. God bless you.
See you later, everybody.